Hi, my name is Oswald Sobrino, and I'm the author of this book, Freedom and Circumstance, Philosophy in Ortega y Gasset. This is a brief book preview that I'm going to post on various media sites. If you're looking at this on Instagram, sometimes Instagram shortens the video, but the full videos are available at YouTube where it's indicated on Instagram where you can locate them. So, Freedom and Circumstance, Philosophy in Ortega y Gasset. Well, the first question, who was he? So I'm going to read something about the introduction, introducing him, and then telling you a little of what this book is about. From the introduction, many in the English-speaking world have studied philosophy in college and have never heard of the Spanish philosopher José Ortega y Gasset, born 1883 and died 1955. This fact reflects the blinders we wear in the English-speaking world. We tend to think of the British Isles first and then France and Germany when it comes to most intellectual matters, especially in the humanities. Whether we wish to admit it or not, the Hispanic cultural world is often viewed as at best a distant poor cousin. Yet in the Hispanic cultural world, Ortega's intellectual place is secure. His genius alone should secure his place in our contemporary English-speaking world. This book will introduce you to Ortega not as a way to provide a politically correct dose of diversity, but first and foremost to introduce a philosophical writer of the first rank, eloquent and gifted even in English translation, he wrote in Spanish. And his insights will, I believe, stir your soul because they are incisive and so resonate with much of our personal lived experience. One of the great interpreters of Ortega was his student and friend Julian Marias, who passed away in 2005. Marias wrote prolifically. He was a philosopher in his own right. His best-known work is entitled History of Philosophy, published in English by Dover Books. Maria's history is itself a masterpiece of orderly clarity in recounting the entire history of Western philosophy. Marias was not lacking in chutzpah. He closes his history of philosophy with a treatment of his friend Ortega's philosophy, and he pulls no punches in proudly stating the following, quote, this is Julian Marias in his book, History of Philosophy. We have followed the entire history of Western philosophy century by century and stage by stage, from Greece to Ortega and the philosophical group originated by him. God has allowed us to close this history as is just with Spanish names, end of quote. So you see a little cultural and national pride in boasting that Ortega is the culmination of Western philosophy. Well, you don't have to agree that he's the culmination, but he is a rich philosopher of the first rank, which I think will help you in living your life and becoming conscious of what's at stake in our mortal lives, which certainly go by quickly because they don't last forever, as we all know. What else can I say? Speaking about Spain and her philosophical background, well, we can be a little charitable with Maria's boast about philosophy culminating with Ortega by noting the philosophical history or the history of philosophy in Spain. Spain was for a very long time a philosophical backwater, but she was a backwater since her glory days in late antiquity and in the Middle Ages. Spain was not always a philosophical backwater. In the Middle Ages and late antiquity, you had great Christian, Jewish, and Muslim thinkers such as Isidore of Seville, Averroes, and Maimonides. And you also had the great Thomistic philosopher Francisco Suarez, born in 1548, died 1617, who was known as the Excellent Doctor. Even earlier than these thinkers, you had the great Stoic philosopher Seneca, and even the famous Stoic emperor Marcus Aurelius, who emerged from the Hispano-Roman world. So maybe when we consider Marias's boast about philosophy culminating with the Spanish Ortega, we can say maybe it was just that it happened this way in Marias's eyes, that philosophy would come back into our own in Spain with the work of Ortega in the 20th century because of the great philosophical achievements of Spain in the past. So there was a great achievement in the past in philosophy in Spain, then there was a decline, and now there's renewal with Ortega, which is the view of Julián Marías and my view also. Or else I would not have written a book on Ortega. So José Ortega, 20th century Spanish philosopher, I label him as an existentialist. He did not like that label, but I think it's accurate. You could also label him a vitalist with the emphasis on life as the ultimate reality. And I think a blurb from the back of the paperback edition of the book gives you an idea of José Ortega's philosophy. And my book seeks to answer the question, what is philosophy? That was the title of a series of lectures that Ortega gave in Madrid. And I'm basing my commentary on analyzing those lectures. What is philosophy? So this book aims to answer the question, what is philosophy? From the point of view of José Ortega y Gasset. I'll end this preview of the book by reading something from the back cover. This short book provides an introduction to the writings of philosopher José Ortega y Gasset, 1883 to 1955, by looking closely at his work entitled, quote, What is Philosophy?, which redefines philosophy for a new era. I use original translations from the beautifully written Spanish used by Ortega, and I provide commentary that guides you step by step through Ortega's dramatic and vital redefinition of philosophy in these lectures entitled, What is Philosophy? And when I wrote this book in 2011, I was anticipating, hopefully, a series on Ortega, and I did do a series. There are other books, Mass Mentality, Philosophy in Don Quixote, according to Ortega y Gasset, and a book on Ortega's views on technology. So I have already done a video previously on the book entitled Mass Mentality on Ortega's Revolt of the Masses. Now I do this video on freedom and circumstance, and I will do shortly other videos on the other two works that I wrote of Ortega. So I was very happy and thankful that I did do a series on him. He's an important thinker, and he will help you live your life, because he said the ultimate reality is our lives, and deciding every day, every minute, every hour, who we are going to be and how we reshape ourselves by reshaping our circumstance. We are interdependent with our circumstance. Thank you.